Good afternoon, adventurers. Y'all remember the retrospective video, right? And that lovely psychedelic and still retro-looking thumbnail it had? Well, I did the thing again where I use old ancient equipment and stylings to make something very interesting and Rain World flavored. But this one's a little bit special in comparison to the last one. I didn't go and use the wrong film and the wrong camera. I used the correct film, but in an odd sort of way. So to start out with, I used my favorite piece of equipment, the venerable Rawr XD11, which is a massively capable film body from like 1977, and this is an early version, so it has some of the early version quirks, which are mostly just the less green paint in places is pretty much it. And a wine red leatherette to replace the horrifically nasty, gross one that came on it that has a tendency to turn into powder after 40 or 50 some years. But it has an analog computer in it that calculates all of the exposure and aperture style stuff so that you don't have to really think about that, and it gives you absolutely perfect exposure every time, so long as you remember to keep the battery changed. And that was paired with a Helios 44-2, which is not made for this, but it does some interesting things to the background, and my particular version feels really nice to use. It's just a Soviet clone of an old Zeiss design that has some optical quirks that make the background do interesting things if you're within the right range. This image does not actually utilize any of those effects. I just happened to have it on me the day that I shot this. And shot this I did with black and white film. Now, Westphalen, you may ask, how is it in color if you used black and white film? Well, it's because I used magic. And the magic of that perfect exposure system, coupled with colored filters. A red, green, and blue filter specifically designed to only let those light frequencies through. So with a tripod and auto winder, which I didn't put into this demonstration because it makes the camera noticeably taller and would just fall over, you can take 3 pictures of the same scene with one of the filters on the nose of it to create the red, green, and blue channels to stitch back together into a color image. And if you move something slightly, like I have in the image, in between the photos, you'll have a Technicolor ghosted image that has a very interesting characteristics and makes it look a little bit more interesting and magic. So that's basically what I did, is I just trichromed the King Vulture mask on a piece of old concrete out in the woods with like some lichens and stuff on it. It turned out okay. The contrast is a little whack, the colors are a little muted. I really couldn't pull any more color out of it without it just looking like garbage. I think it's because XP2 might not actually be panchromatic. I think it is, but I'm not 100% sure. I didn't ever bother to look it up. I know that the contrast is far too high for doing this, and there's probably some other methods I can use in developing to lower that contrast some, but I can't be bothered to figure all that out. I already have enough hobbies as it is. So we have this image, and it looks good.